Hey there friends! Today we are in my basement bathroom. My basement bathroom doesn't have any windows in it, that's why we're down here, so that even in the middle of the day it gets really dark. And the reason why we need the dark is because I wanted to test out some of these solar lights that I have gotten over time and to see how well they work, and to show you how well they work. Hopefully. We'll see if the camera can pick it all up. But all of these lights that I have were purchased on Amazon. I got them kind of slowly over time. I like but don't like a lot of features on all of them. That's why I wanted to go through them all with you. They all have different features and different things, different types of solar panels, and those are all important things to consider. Amazon has just dozens, if not hundreds, of different types of solar lights and things like that. So I only have a small percentage of them, but this is just a quick comparison of maybe some commonly purchased ones or whatnot. Or maybe not, I'm not really sure. But just the different ones that I chose. So the first one I'm going to start with, it's a solar light bulb. It basically, well actually let me see, the official name of it is the 4 LED Outdoor Solar Powered Lighting Camping Tent Lantern Lamp Light. Like that's a mouthful. So I guess it's intended to be a camping light, and it's supposed to be hung from the center of your tent to light your tent. I liked it for the fact that it was a solar light bulb, whereas the rest of them are more like flashlights or lanterns. And I liked how it could hang, so you could put it maybe more in the middle of a room, where a light fixture would normally be, and light just as well, or hopefully, as a normal lighting fixture would have. I like it because it's really easy to use. It has 2 modes of brightness on it. There's the, high and low. And then the solar panel, there are different types of solar panels. The 3 main types of solar panels that solar lights are made out of are amorphous, which is kind of a grayish brown color. That's how you tell the difference between the different types of solar panels, is by the way that they look. And they all behave differently. So there's the amorphous solar panels, which is kind of this grayish brown. There is the polycrystalline, which is a blue color, and then there's the monocrystalline, which is a black. The amorphous solar panels are good because they charge well even in low light conditions. Let's say you live in an area where there's lots of clouds. Well, an amorphous solar panel would be ideal for that because it can still charge even with those clouds and all that cloud cover. Whereas the polycrystalline and the monocrystalline, they're very different the way that they're made, but the way that they behave once they're in the fixtures is about the same. They basically need like full light conditions in order to charge basically at all. I did some experimenting. I have a little solar fan, and it had a polycrystalline solar panel, and even when I put just the tiniest bit of shade on it, it instantly stopped. It needs the full amount of the solar panel fully in the sun with absolutely no obstruction whatsoever. I have some sheer curtains, and I even put that over it, and even with the shears, which would kind of like act like a cloud, it stopped charging as well. So if you live in an area that gets lots and lots of full sun with no cloud cover, then polycrystalline or monocrystalline would be better because they have a higher efficiency rating while they're charging. They can charge a lot of electricity really fast, and the amorphous wouldn't charge quite as quickly, whereas the amorphous has a much better ability to charge, like I said, with the low light conditions. So anyway, going back to the first one, it has the blue color solar panel, so that's a polycrystalline. So it would need full sun conditions in order to charge this. I used it as a night light in my kids' room on the low or the high setting. Both of them weren't really all that bright, and it lasted basically all night long without having to, die in the middle of the night or whatever. So as far as the longevity goes, I would say it worked pretty well. All night's a pretty long time for this to go, so I like this one, but it's the only one of all my collection that doesn't have a crank, so that's why I went with this one. I decided to talk about this one first, just because it's kind of in a class all by itself. If you charge this one in the sun and then you use it and then the next day is cloudy and you can't charge it again, or you don't have enough sunshine or whatever, then you're kind of stranded without anything. So that's part of the reason why for the rest of mine I chose to have ones with a hand crank to be a backup. So here's the next one. The official name for this one is the Solar Powered Hand Crank 3-Mode Flashlight Torch. Again, it has the amorphous solar panel. It has 3 LEDs, and it's just on and off, and that's all there is to it. It has a hand crank. Holding the flashlight to crank it isn't that difficult. You kind of have to get it positioned just right in your hand, whereas the other ones you have more to grip on. This one's kind of smaller, so you got to get it right so that the crank doesn't bump into your hands. Once you get it, it's really easy to do. It's real easy to crank. Just a little bit of cranking helps it to last a pretty long time. So all in all, this one wasn't very expensive, and it's the only flashlight version of the solar hand crank lights that I have, and I like it very much. I've used it quite a bit, and it works very well, so I like this one a lot. This next one, the official name for it is the Solar Powered Super Bright LED Camping Lantern. This one has 6 LEDs, and it just has, it has 2 modes of brightness. You can either turn on 3 LEDs, and then off, and then all 6 LEDs, and then off. So it also has a low and a high, like this one does, whereas this one's just on and off. As far as cranking it goes, you have more to hold on to, and the cranking goes really easy and real smoothly. So cranking is real easy. The crank folds up into the backside really well. It doesn't like pop out easily or anything. It has a thing you can hang it from, which can be helpful, or it has a nice flat bottom so you can set it down if you would prefer that too. And it has an amorphous solar panel, just like the flashlight here. So it will charge even in low light conditions. As far as the battery life goes, when this is fully charged, this lasts almost all night long. When I was using it as a nightlight for my kids, it would last probably 6 or 7 hours, almost the whole night, basically until the sun came up, and then it would turn off on its own. Although it doesn't have a special little sensor that turns off with the light. That's just how long the battery lasted until the battery was dead. The name of it says Super Bright, but I don't necessarily know if I would call it Super Bright. In a few minutes we'll be testing them all with the light off, and you'll see how bright all of these actually are. But I don't think it's all that bright. It's comparable to one of these flashlights. This one obviously isn't solar or hand crank or anything, but it's a really common flashlight that many of us own. This has, 6 LEDs or more, and I would say that this is comparable to the same amount of brightness that this puts out, except this puts it out in a more broadcast way rather than this being focused on one area. So the next one is the official name for it, Super Bright 3 Modes Hand Crank Solar 36 LED Camping Lantern Lamplight. Another one with a big mouthful. It has the polycrystalline solar panel, so it would need full sun to charge. But the polycrystalline, the advantage to this is that it'll charge really quickly, and that it does. When I left this on all night long, even on high, because it has 3 modes of brightness, right? You turn it on and it's 4 LEDs on each side, and it goes 8 LEDs, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and that's on each side. There's 3 sides. So it has low, medium, and high. Even on high, this lasted all night long, and then I didn't charge it, and I used it again the second night. It lasted all night long, and then the third night, I hadn't charged it, and it lasted all night long the third night, before it was finally starting to get dim. So on a full charge, this one lasts a really long time. So even though it has the polycrystalline solar panel that needs full sun, I really think it's worth it, because when you do put it in the sun, it charges the battery really fast and gets a lot of juice in there, so it can last for a really long time. It has a handle, obviously, for easy carrying. It has this cool pop-out thing, so you could just hang it on something if you want to, like your shower curtain or something, say you need to use it in your bathroom. I found this feature to be really helpful. Big flat bottom, which made it really, sturdy to set down pretty much anywhere. It's pretty rugged and tough. It came with a cord, actually 2 cords, that you could plug one of them into a 12-volt power socket like in your car to charge it in your car, or another power socket that you could charge it into your wall. I have two of them, and one of them came with one that worked in an American socket, and the other one came with a power cord that worked in a European socket. So I think there's a bit of a difference between the different sellers on these. So if you do decide to get this one, I would be aware that you might have to get one of those power adapters to change it from the European socket to the American if you live in the US, or an American to a European if you live in Europe. So the hand cranking goes, I feel like it's a little big to hold on to, which kind of makes it a little uncomfortable to try to crank. And the crank doesn't fold all the way flat though. Like the other ones, how the hand crank came all the way out and it was a real flat motion to crank at it. This one kind of cranks in this sort of circle, and you have to kind of move your wrist as you're cranking it, which doesn't seem like it would be a big deal, but after you've been cranking it for a while, you tend to feel it. So, but that's okay. I've never really had to hand crank this one yet because it has such a powerful solar panel. And it has some lights so that when you are cranking it, it turns green to show that you're charging it. I don't know how helpful that really is. It folds in, it doesn't pop out. So that one works pretty well. This one, I liked this solar light so much that I decided to buy a second one. And it came with 60 LEDs. It was still listed as a 36 super bright LED. It was the same exact, listing on Amazon, but it came with 60 LEDs, which made it a lot brighter. And instead of it having 3 modes of brightness, it's just all on or all off. So I'm not really sure. At first I was disappointed because I liked how this one had the 3 modes of brightness, but then when I actually took it in the dark and I saw how bright it was, I thought it was worth it. But at the time I'm recording the video, this one isn't actually available. It's only available through this seller called SolarEverything or something like that. So it was a lot cheaper though. This one cost me about half the price of this one. It was listed as refurbished or whatever. But anyway, I don't want to make this video take too long. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the light now, and then we'll test all of these out and see how bright they are. Okay, so here is the solar light bulb. This I think is low. Nope, that was high. Now this is low. Low, high. Not all that bright. So you'd need a few in order to light very well. But this is bright enough to be able to see what you're doing, for sure. Okay, next would be the flashlight. This is the 3 LED flashlight. Pretty bright. Bright enough, I think. Not like one of those big old flashlights, but just for being a solar backup light, this works pretty good. Okay, the next one would be this lantern, the super bright lantern. This is on low. Not very bright at all. And high, a little brighter, still not that bright. Again, all of these are sufficient to be able to see where you're going so you're not stumbling around in the dark, but nothing you'd want to put makeup on with. Okay, next is this big one. This is low, pretty comparable to this small one, maybe a little brighter. Medium and high. Pretty good. Again, maybe not as bright as they could be, but decent. Okay, and then here is the Big Daddy. This is a 60 LED. I mean, this thing isn't messing around. This thing lights up a room really well. I really like this one. I hope they end up on Amazon again, in case you're interested in it. I would highly recommend this one. For being as cheap as it was and as bright as it is, the nice, high quality solar panel, polycrystalline, the long battery life that lasts 3 full days, 3 full nights, all night long, overnight. Seriously, I like this one a lot. This one's by far my favorite. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you're interested in, getting some solar lights and things like that so that you're not left in the dark, I really hope that you're able to get something so you're not, left in the dark with your family. Cool. Thanks for watching.